Good afternoon. You may proceed, Mr. Levine.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Bell, good afternoon. I know you're soft-spoken, but if you could please speak up nice and loudly so the jurors can hear you.
Okay.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Sallie Kate Bell.
And could you please spell your first and middle name for the record?
First name is S-A-L-L-I-E. Middle name is K-A-T-E.
Tell the jury about what's the name of the community where you live?
Hamptons, the Hamptons.
And what type of community is that?
It's a mobile home.
And does it do you have to be a certain age to live there?
Yes.
And what age is that?
I think it's 65. I'm not sure.
Now, is it a pretty quiet and nice neighborhood?
Very much so.
Do you live across the street from a location where there was a stabbing?
Yes.
And I want to talk about that. If I could direct your attention to that Sunday on September 8th of 2024. The person that lives at that house, do you know her? Susan Detman is her name?
No, I've seen her, but I don't know her.
Were you aware that she had a grandson?
No.
Now, let's talk specifically about that Sunday. Tell the jury, what were you doing on that day?
Well, I was preparing to go to church. It was about 4:45, and I was putting my purse and everything on the coffee table, and I looked up and I saw the black car parked in the driveway, and a white car was in the road.
All right. Jurors, can you hear her? Yes. Okay. Now, you mentioned that the time was about 4:45. Tell the jury how you remember that time.
Well, we go to church at 5:30, so we were getting up on the north side of Florida Avenue, and so we always leave a little early to get there.
All right. So around 4:45, which of the cars did you say was parked under the carport?
The black car.
All right. Did you see the white car arrive?
I didn't see it arrive. No.
All right. When you looked out your window and noticed the black car was in the carport and the white car was on the street, what did you see? What happened?
Oh, the coming out of the house and all?
Yeah, what did you see? What were people doing?
Oh, okay. I saw a lady come out, and she had clothes in her hand, and she went around to the passenger side of the car, and she put the clothes in the car. The young man was standing on the driver's side.
Okay, when you refer to the car, are you speaking of the black car?
The black car, yes, I'm sorry.
No problem. And that black car, then, that was under the carport, is that correct?
Yes.
Had you ever seen the guy before?
Yes, I've seen him once before.
And when was that? Do you recall?
That was about a year ago or something before this.
And so the time when you saw him on Sunday would have been the second time you saw him?
The second time, yes.
And do you see him in court today?
Yes.
Could you please point to him, Miss Bell?
The young man in the middle.
All right. For the record, Miss Bell has identified the defendant. Now, when you saw the lady, she was loading the clothes up in the black car. Is that right?
Yes.
What was the defendant and the lady doing? What were they doing, like, in conjunction with each other?
Well, he was standing on the driver's side. He wasn't doing anything, just standing there. And she went around and she put the clothes on the passenger side, and then she was talking and her hands were going. I couldn't hear what she was saying. And she went around the back of the car, up close to him, and she was swinging her arms again, and he reached. And she says, I heard her say, "Let go of my hair, you're hurting me."
When she said, "Let go of my hair, you're hurting me," was she doing anything violent to him?
She was swinging her arms and talking to him. And she was right up in his face, was talking to him. And then he reached out and to grab her hair. She said, "Let go of my hair, you're hurting me." And he reached up and opened the door, and they went inside, pulled her inside.
Okay. So let me ask you a few specific questions. When she and the defendant were talking, did it look like it was an animated or a heated conversation?
Arguing from one side. I didn't see him say anything. I just heard her.
Okay. And you kind of did a hand motion Was she trying to hit him or trying to punch him or anything?
She was waving her hands like this.
Okay.
And then she said, "Let go of my hair. You're hurting me."
And when you say waving your hands like that, is that like as
She was
she's
talking.
talking to him?
Same
Okay.
way she was talking on the other side of the car.
Okay, I got you. When the defendant grabbed her hair, what did she say?
She said, "Let go of my hair. You're hurting me."
And were you inside or outside?
I was inside in my living room.
So it must have been loud enough, obviously, for you
I
able
could
to hear that.
Yes.
And what did the defendant do to her next?
Then he just reached in and got hold to her, and he opened the door and pulled her in.
Was that the last you ever saw
That's
of
the
her?
last I saw.
Now, did you end up going to church that evening?
I did.
And did you return to your house later that evening?
I did.
About what time did you get back, Miss Bell?
About 6:30 or 6:45.
And when you did return, was anything out of the ordinary going on?
We couldn't turn into Hewlett Drive where we live, so we had to go all the way around the back and come in from the other way. And when we got there was a policeman saying that we couldn't come through that way. So we said, "Well, our house is right there." He said, "Okay." So he moved the police car, and we pulled in our driveway.
Okay. Miss Bell, I don't have any other questions for you.
Thank you. Cross-exam?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Hendry?
How are you doing, Ms. Bell?
I'm fine. How are you?
Got a few questions for you.
Okay.
You said that you could see the woman moving her arms, and you kind of gestured.
Yes.
I mean, was she moving her arms in a direction, or was it just generally up above her head?
She was facing him over the car. She could see him, and she was talking and waving her hand.
So, I mean, you know,
I couldn't understand what she was saying to him.
Did it look like she was dancing, or did it
No,
look like she was
no,
doing something
no,
else?
She was talking and using
Okay.
her hands. It's like,
And so animated,
right.
directed at the person that
At
was
the
standing
person.
on the other side? Is that
Correct.
how you would say it?
Yes.
Okay. And you said that he was just standing there?
He was just standing there looking at her.
Okay. Was he inside
He
the...
was outside,
so
next to the
he's-
car.
The car's in the carport,
Yes.
roughly near the door?
Near
would
the
you say?
door.
Okay.
On the driver's side.
And she walked over to him?
She walked around the car to him.
Okay. Now, can you hear any noise at this point?
Not then, no.
Okay.
I just saw her walking.
And about how long is this going on?
I guess maybe about 10 minutes, maybe. I'm not sure.
Okay. You're watching it?
I'm watching it.
And you said that you and your husband were getting ready for church,
Yeah,
right?
he was in the back room getting dressed.
So he's not up there watching it
No,
with you?
no.
Okay. And then, so when the woman gets close to the man, she's still moving her hands?
Still moving her hands.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
they-
how far apart were they at
They
this
were
point?
standing close. They
Okay.
were standing close.
And was she moving her hands? He's close enough to touch her at some
He's
point.
close enough to touch her, yes.
Okay. And he reaches out and touches her. Either by, you hear her
Apparently
say,
by the hair, because she said, "Let go of my hair, you're hurting me."
but could you see that?
I saw his arm come up and around, and then she grabbed her hair.
Okay. So you see her hand on her hair?
Yes.
Okay. And, was she moving her hands when she's that close to him?
Yes, she was talking, waving her hands like she went on the other side, and then she went around the back, and she was still waving her hands.
And until you hear the exclamation, "Let go of my hair, you're hurting me," you haven't heard anything else?
No, I couldn't understand what they were saying.
Okay. And you didn't hear anything after that exclamation?
No,
There wasn't any, for example, no's or anything like that?
no.
Okay. And you said they went into the house together?
Went into the house, yes.
Okay. Were both of their feet moving? Were they both walking?
Yeah, as far as I could see. I couldn't actually see the steps, but they went up and went into the house.
And you watched them go into the
I
house?
watched them go into the house.
Okay. And you and your husband then presumably finished getting ready and went to church,
We
right?
went to church, yes.
Okay. And at this point, you didn't call 911, right?
No,
Okay.
no.
Did you and your husband, talk about this?
No, we talked about the white car because we had never seen that before. And he said we had to go around it in order to get to leave.
And so other than the fact that the white car was present and you didn't know whose it
I didn't know
was,
who it was. No,
this was not something that was really piquing your interest at that time.
no.
And it wasn't until you can't get into your neighborhood that you start becoming worried that there might be something that
There's
happened
something
there.
wrong, and I saw the yellow tape around. I said, "What is that?" And I asked my husband, and he told me, "It's what you see on television." And I said, "Oh."
So would you describe what you saw as somebody being dragged into a house?
Well, see, the car was parked, and then the steps are there, and it's like two steps up, and so I couldn't actually see the feet going in, but I know he reached up and opened the door, and he pulled her in.
So I mean, if he's pulling her against her will, I mean, he's having to lift her up steps, right? You can't just go straight in.
She walked up the steps.
Okay, so she's moving her feet as far as you can tell up the steps.
Correct.
And other than the one other time you had seen the gentleman, no interactions with these people that you were aware of?
He was there by himself the first time I saw him.
Okay. And that black car, how long was it present across the street? Do you know?
It came in late that night because when I went to bed, there was nothing in the driveway. And when I got up early that morning, I saw it in the driveway.
Okay, so the black car arrived the night before at some point while you were asleep?
Sometime, yeah.
Okay. And you were home that day?
Mm-hmm.
And you never saw it move?
No,
Okay, you never saw anybody in and out of the house?
no.
When the two people, the man that you've identified as sitting here at the table with
Yes.
us, did you see him in the yard at all?
No.
Next to the house, in front of the house?
Just on the side of the car.
And did you ever see the woman in the yard?
I've never
in front
seen
of the
her
house?
before, no.
Okay, so she was only, as far as you, from what you could see, it was just around that black car?
Around the car.
There was nothing out in the yard?
No.
Okay. But if she had come from the white car, then presumably she would have had to walk up that way? Okay. No further questions.
Thank you. Redirect.
Just briefly, Your Honor. Now, Ms. Bell, when the defendant pulled the lady in to the house by her hair, were you still in the same vantage point, looking out the window?
Yes.
And I want to show you one photograph that has been already moved into evidence previously, which is 167. Can you see that on your screen close by?
We can have to lower it because some of the drawings
Okay, I
can
can
see.
Can you see it?
Yes.
Now, Miss Bell, I'm going to point to what I believe is the house where the stabbing happened, but correct me if I'm wrong. Can you see where I'm pointing? Is that the house? Actually, I'll come to your screen too.
Yeah, because I...
Is that the house?
That's the house, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And for purposes of the record, I pointed. I know it's kind of far to see, but I pointed to this on your screen. So.
That's...
All right. Very good. Now, which is your house? Is your house this one?
No.
Is your house this one?
Yes.
Okay. So, and your window, I assume, is at the front of the house. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So you have a pretty good view, angle-wise. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Now, when the defendant and the lady were first having whatever discussion they were having, you mentioned you could not hear that, correct?
No.
Is it a fair statement that when the lady said, "Let go of my hair, you're hurting me," that she yelled it or shouted it loud enough for you to be able to hear it?
Yes, she did.
Okay. I have no further questions for you, man.
Is Ms. Bell released?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Thornhill? Mr. Hendry?
Yes, sure.
Thank you. Next witness.
The state calls Nancy Jones.
Mr. Jones?